Right, it's time, people. It's time for me to express my opinion of Cyberpunk 2077. I've sunk nearly 20 hours into this monster game. I've had enough time with it to give my opinion. There's been a lot of hate about this game because it's been released with a lot of bugs and performance issues on the Generation 4 consoles, such as Xbox and such as PlayStation 4. I'm coming from a PC's perspective, and I want to give you like an oversight and an in view of what I've gathered from the game and what I'd review it as. And yeah, let's get on. The game starts with really good difficulty settings: normal, hard, very hard, your standard sort of stuff. But the good thing is you can actually change this within the game, so while you're playing. Then we have the fractions. We have Nomad, we have Street Kid, and we have Corpo. Nomad is more like the explorer type, the Street Kid is more negotiating on the street, and the corporate one is the Corpo one, where it's a bit higher level tier, but generally amazing stuff. The character creation in this is fucking insane. I've never seen anything so deep. You can sit here and sink hours just creating your character. The stuff that you can do, the voice tone, the skin type, the hairstyle, the eye color, it's so in detail. You can just pick apart everything for hours and hours on end and just not get sick of it. And think about 2 hours just creating your character. And what they've done here is took it to another level. Here you can change your genitalia. You can actually change the size of your penis, for fuck's sake. I've never seen anything quite like this. So again, these details, these things they have in this game is on another level, another scale, and straight off the bat you're thinking, my god, this is something completely different. And this also works with male and female characters. They both have the opportunity to be really in-depth in the way that you create the characters and construct them. So I've never seen such a character creation as detailed as this, so fantastic. And then when you're thrown into the city, you're thrown into the game itself. It starts off a little bit slow, but then gradually builds up. Now when I was looking around the city itself, I was thinking, you know, what amount of detail we have here. Now I have this on my high-end PC, I have ray tracing on, I have everything maxed out to the very top level, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at all these details, and I've never seen graphics quite like this. There's such detail, and when you have ray tracing on, when you're walking around the city, to every minute detail, like reflections, the lights ricocheting off the ground level with the surface, and actually when you go into the more lighted areas of the city, you can see the total scope and detail and the amount of graphical power you need to have this running. And this is why a lot of people on the base systems, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox, have been struggling, because this game is a huge monster. It requires a lot of processing power. There's a lot of shit going on the screen, and yeah, I've never seen anything quite like it, to be honest. Now, right at the beginning of the game, you get access to the map, and you're able to pull up your car by pressing the V button on the PC. I found this a little bit confusing, and yeah, you sometimes get lost on the map. Now, this brings me on to the NPCs in the game. Now, I'm not seeing it like a lot of people have said, that they're kind of lifeless and thrown back to like 10-20 years ago. This is not the case. I was actually interacting with them. Again, it's very limited in what you can do. You can't go into full in-depth with the NPCs like you could on previous games with The Witcher 3 and other titles, you know, AAA titles. The AI behind them is, I found, a bit weird. There's quite a lot of bugs going on still that they need to patch out. So I was just observing what they're doing, and they don't seem to be reacting very well to any environments around them. I tried to engage the characters as well, and they seem quite lifeless. But what I did find fascinating is if you sat still for a little bit, you could see like scenarios going off. Weird, strange scenarios and different sort of characters and different areas and different ways of reacting with the characters. So this was really cool. So I enjoyed that. You know, it even got to a point where I was walking along, and all of a sudden I just saw this random ass fight going on between totally random NPC characters with no meaning to it whatsoever. And so I just sat there and sort of observed what they were doing from a sort of observer perspective, because I was quite fascinated, like just walking down the street and all of a sudden this mass rush of gunfights going off. And this is what I found really interesting with the NPCs. It's more what's around the NPCs I found more fascinating than the actual NPCs themselves. Now we're on to the cars. The cars themselves handle okay-ish. They didn't feel to have much weight behind them, so they were quite kind of like spaceship-like when I was driving. It didn't have that sort of Grand Theft Auto weight to it when you're driving the car, and I think they will work on this and patch it out, because it was the same with Witcher when you had Roach. Roach was all over the place and a bit spasticated in places, and they kind of patched him out a lot more and made him more sort of I don't know, more apparent to the game, and I think it's the same here. So when I was driving along, I didn't feel like I had total control. And with a keyboard and mouse, even more a little bit touchy, like sensitivity hasn't been developed properly yet. But overall, I found it pretty cool in the driving the cars around, you know, just going around the city and taking it all in. This was really good. Yeah, just sit there and like dial in the music and change channels was really cool. I enjoyed it. And what I really like as well, that you could switch between with the Q button, you could switch between the different, you know, cockpit view, third person, first person views. So it gave you the option to do that, which I quite liked. So I was kind of enjoying just sort of switching between those, depending on different scenarios in traffic and the view that I was requiring to get at the time. Now the in-game menu itself, if you're on the PC, was actually very good, and that's the best I've seen it in a while, because I could change a lot with the mouse sensitivity. It gave me lots of options, lots of tools to play with, so I could get the best settings for my keyboard and mouse setup, because I'm gaming on a PC, so that was really cool. Now the in-game mechanics systems, in terms of like weapons, inventory, these kind of things, I found a little bit lacking in places. I couldn't really do proper customization, and a lot of things are locked. I think they will be unlocked later on as the game goes further, but the skill tree again is very limited. And what I really liked about the approach in Cyberpunk is like it uses a journal, so you use this as your like options to change between quests, and I found that really worked and something a little bit different. What I really like as an RPG maniac like myself is just going around the world and like looking for little clues, and I found that really cool with this game is that you can hack into these terminals, you can take control of these terminals, and you can basically use these terminals to, I don't know, confuse enemies, take over things, hack things, and fuck up the other player. So in this scenario I was outshadowed by these other enemies, so I decided that I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to hack into the system and I'm going to mess with them, and it actually came to my advantage. This is the kind of game that we'd get in Deus Ex, you know, so I was really impressed with that. So you can use a different approach, a more sandbox approach to tackling enemies rather than just going straight at it. And again, it brings me to like having this detail, this depth. You can go into a terminal, you can hack it, and you can bring up these emails about like feeling alone, or phishing emails, or sexual emails. And you can read them and you can get more detail from the story. This is great. So I was totally surprised when I'm going through these terminals and just reading like these crazy stories, these emails of people writing, and seeing actual phishing emails, and this level of detail is what I thrive for in a game, and this game has it in spades, and this is what I'm really enjoying about the game, is the depth people, the depth. Which now brings me to the enemies in the game. What the fuck are they like? Well, actually, if you're playing the game on hard, which is how you should be playing the game, they're actually fucking challenging. I had really difficulties trying to get past them. You can pick the enemies up, you can take them out silently, you can throw them in the corner, you can do all these different things, or you can just go straight at it, guns blazing, full on bloodshed. And man, in this game can you get in some really intense fights. Like I say, I started on hard, And there were many times where I was like totally pinned, had no ammo, and I had to really sort of think a way out of the situation by taking cover behind something, thinking about how I'm going to take out that enemy, thinking how I'm going to take out his mate, all these different aspects. And this is the game, this is the gunplay that I love. Gunplay where you're not just running in shooting people. You have to think about what you're doing strategically. Let's check it out.
He's hit! He's firing! Go, go, go! Better get on! Out of my way, coños!
Now you also have a stealth approach as well, where you can hack the cameras, disable them, hack people, all these different types of I hack into the terminal, I have a time-based meter going off and I have to get the right sequence. Then once I hack into the terminal, I have access to the whole system and I can start fucking with the enemy and making it very difficult for them. So I really like that this game gives you different multiple options of ways of getting around things and not just running straight in, so that was really cool. Right, now that we've got the combat and mechanics over, I also want to discuss that you also have calls with people, you interact with them on the keyboard. The T button will bring up your phone, you can go through, you can dial people, you can interact, see missions, all this cool stuff. Found it very interesting. But I mean, generally I just really enjoyed communicating with, talking to people. The interaction's amazing. Check it out here, right here.
Said it'll speed things up. Free the demon, so to speak.
I gotta lie down.
Now, we've talked about only really good things, but there are a lot of bad as well. And one thing is the bugs. There are fucking tons of bugs in this game. CD Projekt Red, I don't blame them. They did it the same with The Witcher. But like we see here, is having the boss fight. It was a very intense fight with Royce, and he's stuck to the fucking wall. And there's nothing I can just win in this situation. He's just stuck to a wall, and I think, okay, I'm just going to take him out right now. Before that, it was really enjoyable, really intense. Like I had to avoid him, think about what I'm doing, and that kind of broke the immersion for me a little bit. So we check it out here. I mean, it's even the same here, same situation. Guy's doing a freak dance in front of me. It's meant to be an intense fight, so all I could do is just blow his ass to pieces, and that's it.
Good one!
Same again here. I'm having a fucking intense fight. I'm looking in my hand, and I've got no gun in my hand. I'm just sitting there doing a wanking sign, taking pot shots, but no gun is currently in my hand. So it's like weird immersion breaking bugs that cannot be excused, to be honest, and need to be patched now. Oh, back to the graphics. They are next gen, incredible graphics. It pushes my gaming system to the brink. The detail, when you see it on the face, the lips, the eyes, the hair, the way they move, incredible stuff, incredible graphics, incredible. And we also have Keanu Reeves starring in this as Johnny Silverhand. Yeah, it was quite an interesting character, really. The way he merges. I won't go too much into detail, but there's a very interesting pivot in the story that merges the characters, and I quite liked his character. He was a bit off the cuff, a bit weird. He brought a bit of salt to the story and weird interactions, and yeah, he done a really good job, I think. I really enjoyed his character. Okay, so now as we're coming to the closing of this review, overview, whatever you want to fucking call it, what I enjoyed the most is just the reaction with characters, going off and doing sub-stories and interacting with these characters and using multiple choices to have different outcomes. Very sandboxy, very cool, very likey.
You're alone, wallowing in misery.
I think we're done here.
Suit yourself.
So my overview, what I think of this game. I think it's a freaking great game. I think it's quite buggy at the moment. It's been rushed, it's been sent out there. I feel sorry for the people that have the old base systems that don't have a PC like myself, because they're screwed now. They can't play this game properly because it runs like shit, there's bugs. You know, I sympathize for these people, but I mean, eventually I hope they patch it out properly soon for you guys. But generally, I just love the world. I love going around, I love interacting with people. There's one story arc where you think it's not so detailed, but if you scan and look around, you find loads of stories going on. So yeah, this is what this game is totally about. It's about investment, and I love it. And I'll give this game a solid 9. So please like this video if you like it, leave comments, sub to my channel. I will keep doing more in the series as I go along, and thank you to all that subscribe. Peace out to you all.